see it's getting darker and darker, and there's just no way right now for these drivers to know exactly what's going to happen.
These guys are going to have to be really, really careful and tiptoe around the track until it's either stopped.
Not even 10 minutes into this race, and I feel like we've got enough strategy going on for a whole event, but still a long, long way to go.
There's Yellowstone, there's Yosemite, but for racing fans and for Grid Life's Elkhart Classic, the destination is Road America, the National Park of Speed.
Free ride in the front of the field here. Look at the wheel tab up the inside for the race leaders. We head down to the first corner.
And these guys have no idea what they're coming into. Look at this field. They're 2 wide, 3 wide, a couple places slip and slide.
Side by side for the race lead, 54, 48 through 3. Number 60, 110 laps to go. Yusuf Ghali, power move to the bottom of the racetrack, making the short way work. They're going to touch down the hill.
This will be a great run for Fuller here.
Yeah, typical ran off the track in the final quarter. That'll allow Fuller to get a massive.
Here he comes.
Does he have a look?
Oh, big block here by Sanfilippo. Into the grass goes Ben Fuller for turn 1. And Sanfilippo hangs on. He's loose. No! And he crashes hard in the exit of turn number 2. Don't try it here, boys. They're going to do it. Grisco backside. They touch. They're going to crash. Grisco going to slam the attenuator hard into the wall. And Sarah Testa hits him as well. And big damage on these cars. That's a huge.
Number 4, people are struggling for grip, going out of every single lane, trying to make a run. It's getting really insane.
Powered by AWS for the Intercontinental GT Challenge, powered by Pirelli at the Indianapolis 8-hour. We are 7 hours and 18 minutes into this 8-hour event.
John Miller way deep on the brakes to the inside of turn number 1 and 2. The spin, the 3 car gets turned around in the front of the car.
James Houghton looking for a place to go, but he's got Austin Cobb to the inside. A bit of a gap behind. I think that's about 15th or 16th spot as they come out of turn 3. Big slide for this.
Getting a run. He's got it. Going to be a drag racing line. Final corner. Checkered flag waving. Here they come. At Virginia National Raceway. To the line. Thompson, Darling, door to door. Banging doors. Fender to fender. I can't believe what we just saw.
Outsider Racing League's autumn season has been primarily focused in the southeast of the United States, visiting tracks like Daytona, North Wilkesboro, Darlington, and Kentucky. Tonight, our 8th round of the season will be no different. But instead of Kentucky Bluegrass, it's Georgian Red Soil at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Welcome to Sim TV. My name is Kyle Heyer, joined tonight by IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge race winner Tom O'Gorman. You've won at this racetrack in an Audi RS3 TCR a couple of years ago, but tonight we're running NASCAR stock cars here for 42 laps.
Yeah, just like a cup car, right? No, it's going to be a ton of fun, and the thing that stands out to me, you listed a bunch of ovals there. We're turning both ways tonight. It's a long race on a hot racetrack with a lot of power and a lot of opportunity for success and maybe making some mistakes too.
I think there'll be a lot of mistakes tonight. The track is very, very slick. These cars don't have ABS. They don't have traction control. They have about 750 rear-wheel horsepower. It's going to be a handful for basically everybody out here. But the interesting note is that one of the drivers that has been historically dominant in this series, and that would be the 48 of Jeff Wright, he has not found the magic on road courses the last couple seasons, and he's actually struggled at them. And I think his strength tonight will be, this is a track that these guys have never raced on before. And every time we go to a road course that they've never been to before, Jeff Wright's good. It's the tracks like Watkins Glen and Sonoma where he's been struggling lately. So maybe this will be a resurgence for Jeff Wright, but maybe someone new could jump to the top of the order. I'm thinking Sam Devontier in the 99, quickest in practice. We had 10 drivers within a second of the fastest driver in practice. So the competition is close, 42 laps. Is kind of a long one for ORL standards at road course races. So we'll get qualifying underway here, Tom. You got to run your fastest lap.
Well, and it's really cool to be racing at Road Atlanta, not typically considered a stock car track. I don't know how true to form the ORL League sticks to a proper NASCAR type schedule, but I've never seen stock cars on a road course quite like this. This is going to be a ton of fun to watch. But when it comes to these NASCAR Cup cars, really on a road course, less is more. I've had a little bit of experience driving these cars on a road course, and you think it's a big, heavy, fast, lot of power. You're hanging on for dear life. You're riding the bull. No, it's way more fine-tuned than that. You really are trying at all times for the entire duration of this race to not exceed the limits. And if you exceed those limits once, it's that much more likely that you'll do it again. The more you do it, the worse it gets. And these drivers are going to have to find kind of that fine line between pushing too hard, but also making sure that they're going fast enough, obviously.
Couple drivers across the line. Jeff Wright, right now the quickest driver, a 1:19.582, going to run wide in turn number 1. Ryan Carwile, this is a name that's familiar to us here at Grid Life, where that's where we are this weekend. We're at Nolan Motorsports Park. Forgot to mention that. Ryan Carwile goes second quickest with a 1:21.67, goes for a ride in turn 1. Ben Lafter in third. Jeremy Miller looking down the order. Alex Bell ran inside the top 5 when we ran Mid-Ohio a couple seasons ago. You actually ran that race and finished in 2nd. So Alex Bell for the Sim Motorsports crew, he might have a good shot at running inside the top 5 here tonight.
Well, look at that. It's just that easy. As we watch the 15 car kind of miss the apex at turn 7, and he had a little bit of push on the front end. And as you push the front end of this car, if you get the back end moving around, you get a lot of temp in the tires really, really quickly, and they just don't come back. They absolutely do not have any forgiveness with small moments like that. So if you're running a qualifying lap, getting everything out of the car, that's one thing. But we're racing for 42 laps here tonight. That is a long time. If you get one slide like that, maybe once per lap, all of a sudden that tire's toast, and by the time you need to do a pit stop, some way, maybe halfway through this race, your car could be a disaster. So that's kind of what I say when it comes down to getting up to the line but never really crossing.
Yeah, and I think tire conservation will be a big discussion tonight. Probably not fuel conservation. I think these guys can do this on one stop. If they pit around lap 20 to 25, I think will be the time to roll. I think strategy will be a big discussion tonight. When do you pit? I think tires will drop off. We're going to see 3-4 seconds slower towards the end of the run. So do you pit early and try to undercut those in front of you, or do you pit late and kind of bank on having good tires towards the end of the race?
Or who knows, even do 2 stops and just try to have the raw pace of the entire event. But as far as pit stops are concerned, there's also the question of where are you in the field. If you're the leader, you have the opportunity to just run clean laps, run, and it doesn't make a big deal to just kind of stay out for a long time. You can pit pretty late. If you're in the back of the pack and you're surrounded by traffic, you're dealing with racecraft all the time, it's a lot higher risk scenario. You don't want to overexert the car early. If you take that pit stop early and you isolate yourself somewhere else on the track when you come back out, you can run those clean laps too. So you kind of have to consider, am I getting held up right now? Am I able to run clean laps? Am I overexerting my car to stay where I am? And do I pit because of that?
We should take a look at the track map here. This is a track that ORL's never been to, and we've actually never done a stock car race on Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Tom, you're familiar with this racetrack. You've won here before. You know what it takes to go fast. Take me for a lap around Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta.
This is one of the absolute highlights of North American road courses. We start on the far right of your screen down the very short front straightaway, one of the lowest points on this track. It's a really early turn in, a really early brake zone for turn number 1, and you shoot straight up a hill. Look at that elevation all the way up into turn 2. Turn 2 is really not an event in itself, but it's setting you up for turn 3, and then turn 3 initiates the S's. You're jumping that giant curb at turn 3, keeping the car to the left through turn 4, and then diving straight down the hill into turn 5. Now, turn 5 is really a really make or break corner because it's a high risk, really bumpy on the curbs. You have to use all the curbs, but no more. And then you get a little bit of a break, a straightaway about the same length as the front straight down into turn 6, which is bowled out, carry a ton of speed through there, and then shut the car down for the slowest corner on the track, turn 7. The most critical corner at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta because it gets you onto that giant back straight up, quote-unquote, turns 8 and 9. Not really corners, and then the heavy braking zone into turns 10 A and B, the final chicane, which carry you through turn 11 and down the entire chutes and ladders of turn 12.
This is a really fun racetrack, and the elevation is one thing that really plays into the fear factor a little bit. When you head here in real life, and I got a chance to ride with Luke McGrew in a Challenger here last year at Grid Life South, it's quite an event to go down that hill at 100 miles an hour and see that wall right on corner exit. It's a lot of fun. It's a fast racetrack. It's very similar to Watkins Glen, I feel. It's kind of races in a similar way. But again, I've never seen a stock car race here. We'll see how it plays out. There's Matthew Close. A handful of drivers haven't even laid down qualifying times. Only 12 drivers have put in their times, make that 13 as Hernandez comes across the line. But Brandon Bowers currently sits at the top of the order. Maybe he's an outlier or one that we should keep an eye on. He ran well at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course a couple seasons ago. And maybe his road racing experience is understated. He's just put Jeff Wright off of pole position.
Hikes the tire at the curb of turn 10B, but look at the gaps between the top 3. It is 4/100ths of a second between Bowers and Wright, and then only another 100th back to Joshua Banks. So you mentioned that we have 10 cars on the same second. We have that once again, the top 7 on the same second here in qualifying, but the top 3 separated by only a half a tenth. It's crazy.
AJ Stravato is in the number 33. He has had a phenomenal season the last couple times around. And I really do think that he's going to have a legitimate chance at winning this race here tonight. We'll see as he comes through 10A and 10B. Really your primary passing opportunity at this racetrack, as you discussed. But even more so, the braking zones are so drawn out in these cars. These things are heavy. They're slow to accelerate. They're slow to brake. every time you make an input, it's basically just asking the car, you're just suggesting to it that I want to do something. It takes it a minute to respond, especially in the braking zone. So if you're good in the brakes, you'll be good on the racetrack.
Another thing you have to be careful of is locking the rear end on these cars on the braking zones. You're going from, these are still 4 speeds, you're going down to probably second, maybe even first for turn 10A. A couple of downshifts, locking the rear end is really easy, especially once you get a little bit of tire wear. As you come down into that critical chicane, this passing zone, riding along with Matthew Close, who sits down a little bit further in the field, actually doesn't have a clean lap yet. So now down through turn 12, if this corner was flat, it would be nothing. No one would ever talk about turn 12 if it was flat, but this corner drops 10 stories, and that's what makes the corner turn 12 at Road Atlanta.
And across the line for Matthew Close, that'll be a 1:21.578, only good enough for 13th, and he will not get another chance to improve that time, so that will be where he qualifies and no better. Jeremy Miller, Corey Steinhauser, and a whole bunch of other drivers have elected not to qualify. And I see this kind of happen a lot when drivers aren't familiar with the racetrack that we're at, as they'll choose not to qualify. I'm not sure that that's a great strategy necessarily. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it is odd to me, but a 42-lap race here at 1:20, that's we're looking at maybe close to an hour, 20 hour and 30 minutes of racing. If I'm doing my math right, well, it's at least an hour. But you really have a lot of time to play out your strategy, and if you're Jeremy Miller, Corey Steinhauser, if you're starting 15th, I really don't think it's unreasonable to end up on the podium or winning a race from that point if you're playing your strategy right.
Yeah, for sure. Qualifying is complete. Brandon Bowers is your pole sitter for tonight. Jeff Wright will line up alongside him on the front row. We'll share more of the starting lineup here in just a moment. If you'd like to follow along with live timing and scoring, as always, you can do that at simtvbroadcasting.com/timing. So we'll head down to the racetrack here and get gridded up. So our estimation is showing 55 minutes for a 42-lap race. I think the pace will slow down because of the tire wear, but we'll head down to the racetrack now, and let's roll through our starting lineup here as soon as we got cars to take a look at. Let's roll through them. There is a woman standing all by herself up against the fence. And she's.
I don't think she was meant to be seen up close.
I don't think she was either. She's a 10-footer.
Well, yeah, it's just a.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll move on to the starting lineup here. Going to be a pretty short pace lap. So on the front row tonight, it's going to be the number 31 of Brandon Bowers, right alongside the road course ace, Jeff Wright, in the number 48 Chevrolet.
Alongside in row 2, it's the 36 of Joshua Banks. Starting 4th, Sam Devontier in the 99.
In row number 3, starting in 5th, Bryce Calusa's number 20. And Clifton Cockrell in the 16 starts in 6th.
In the 7th position, Ryan Carwile, number 71 from Grid Life Familiarity for us. And in the 29 car, Angelo Ronis starts alongside.
In row number 5, starting in 9th, Alex Bell in the Sim Motorsports Toyota Camry. Bailey Turner in the 24 starts in 10th.
And then in 11th, Zach Halpern in the 26, and Ben Laughter starts alongside on the outside of row 6.
In row number 7, in 13th, Matthew Close in the 92. We rode on board with him. Jonathan Hernandez in the number 1 starts 14th.
And in 15th, it is the 55 of Liam Sheen and Matt Wagner in the 18 and 16th.
Yeah, Liam Sheen will not start the race due to a hardware issue. AJ Stravato will start 17th right alongside Brian Chambliss in the number 9. And the last couple rows here, Tom, take it away.
In the 19th spot, Casey Lakatos in the 50 car, and then Corey Steinhauser in the 65 will start 20th.
In 21st place, Matt Burgess in the number 12, and David Mott Jr. starts 22nd in the number 4. So the field is almost ready to get gridded. Jeremy Miller will be the last driver on the grid in 23rd place. A few drivers did not make the grid. Brian Chambliss, Matt Wagner, and Liam Sheen are those drivers. So as the pace car gets ready to roll off up on that front row, again, we mentioned it is, of course, the 48 on the outside, the 31 on the inside of that front row as they make their way down towards turns 10A and 10B. So 42 laps of racing. Quick keys to the race, hot and slick. Going to be a tricky one to keep the car on the blacktop, which is our second key to the race. Keep it on the black stuff. Tire conservation, big issue here tonight. Feel very coordinated here with such a short pace lap. Green flag flies, and we're racing from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, round number 8 of the 2020 Outsider Racing League season.
Polson are already defensive, but they get pretty single file. That was a disaster of a start, to be honest. Not much of a warm-up lap, so much as a warm-up corner. Luckily, these tires like to stay nice and cold, so the drivers should have good grip coming into turn 1. one for the first time. The field will be very spread out as they dive over that curve. Look at the curb jump at turn 3.
Big jump there, and as they head on over, you got to watch the cut course. You can get one there as we head now down towards turn number 5. Everybody's kept it on track so far, which is always good to see. Brennan Bowers leads the way through turn number 5, get those left sides up on the curb and right sides on the exit, and stream down towards turn 6.
Looked like Jeff Wright had a little bit of a run coming onto the green flag, but Boyer's protected and started to, or Bowers, I should say, started to pull away a bit. The 48 car rolls good speed into turn 6. Look at that on the brakes. Whoa, he's going to use up the grip on those front tires just a little bit there, but closes the gap to the back of the 31. And it's maybe now a 2-car breakaway at the first lap.
They're going to stream down the back straightaway. Notice the timing issue. We'll get that sorted here momentarily. But down the straightaway, Brandon Bowers leads the way. Jeff Wright going to keep him honest. Third place, it's Joshua Banks who's filtered on through. Sam Devontier in 4th. Bryce Calusa in 5th. And into the braking zone now for turn 10A. All line astern for now.
Yeah, 5 cars deep, and the 20 car is looking pretty racy. He was hunting back and forth in the mirrors of the 99 as they came down the back straightaway. Had no opportunity to do anything with it, but he was looking pretty racy as they've got a pretty good gap back to the Cockrell in the 6th spot.
Across the line to complete lap number 1. Bowers, the first one to complete a lap here, and 1 of 42 is complete. Look down a little bit deeper in the field. Jonathan Hernandez in the number 1. There's Zach Halpern popping out to have a look at him in that Toyota Camry. But no dice so far. Can't make the pass happen. Look at AJ Servato hanging it out as they come up the hill.
I really think at this point, if you haven't really made your spots, kind of got to settle into your race pace because 42 laps is going to be a long time. Ooh. Again, we expect the prediction was 55 minutes, already up to 57 minutes as these guys start to fall off and settle into that pace. So we're riding along with AJ Servato into that uphill left-hander of turn 5, all the way out to the curbs. And it looks like we may be keeping the cars off the curbs a bit to maybe conserve some tires or just not take the risk.
Yeah, there's the 15 of Alex Bell on the back of Ben Lafter's number 64. Bailey Turner in the 24 is right there as well, and sweeping into turn number 7 down to first gear and trying to make sure that you keep that torque in check. The rear tires will get out from underneath you really quickly here.
Yeah, those cars will not look so composed in 10, 12, 15 laps. Once we get to the end of these tire runs, and I'm really curious to see when will the first pit stop start to occur. I suspect maybe as early as lap 20, 22, we might start seeing cars come down the pit lane. As long as they've done their testing. We got to dive into 10A.
That's the number 1 of Hernandez popping out of line. And a pretty good battle back here. And I don't want to jinx anybody, but other than the misjumbled start, it's been pretty clean so far. We haven't had anybody go off.
Yeah, here comes the 26 of Halpern up the inside. The 1 didn't get a very good run off of turn 10B. And that opened up the door for the 26 to get a run. And now the 1 loses another spot.
He's dropping back, might have heated up those tires. They can burn off in the lap or 2 if you don't treat them right. Bailey Turner under attack from Ben Lafter as they head into turn number 3.
Up at the front, less than 1 second between the leaders of Brandon Bowers and Joshua Banks, but they are starting to extend their lead pretty well away from Jeff Wright, Sam Devontier, and Bryce Calusa. They are still kind of a top 5 towards the front. But taking a look at the 24 car of Turner, who is at the front of this big car train down into turn 6 for lap number 3.
I'm going to just restart the timing here to get the gaps fixed here on the ticker. And we'll be back here in just a second. But so far, so good here, Tom. No major dramas, which for a road course race in ORL is pretty solid. We've had some pretty wild road races where we've had beaten and banging, cars off and destroyed lap 1. We've had all but one of our drivers is in the race, and Liam Sheen didn't even start. So I think that's pretty good so far, I'd say.
Yeah, it's especially impressive, although you just commentators cursed it. The 15 goes for a huge ride down the braking zone in turn 10A, gathers it up. Super good save from the 15 car Bell. Alex Bell gathered that one up, but look at those tires are hot. He's barely hanging onto that car, and it's 2 corners later, 3 corners later, but he gathers it up and will maintain the point over the 26.
Here comes Halpern up the inside of Servato up the inside of Halpern through turn number 1. Pass complete. And Bailey Turner's looped it right in front of these guys, and he's off track in turn number 1. And my guess, we'll take a look here at the replay, my guess is that he maybe overcooked it and just got the left rear on the curbing that time.
Yeah, and I think that might have even been partially down to downshift. We'll see if he loses it on the way in, grabs the downshift there. No, he's just too hot. And saved the downshift for the end, but it still came around on him. Luckily, he kept it off the wall, so that car should be nice and clean. Maybe keep it cool for a second. But alluding back to our downshift, we were talking about, you got to be very careful on the downshifts in the braking zone. That is what we saw from the 15 car going for a big ride. Is now he has finally succumbed to the pressure from the 26 car, so he's lost 2 spots on the first half of this lap, reeling from the heat in those tires. But gets a run. He's going back up the inside.
Well, you mentioned, we're going back to the downshifts, you mentioned that it's a 4-speed transmission. It's a dog box. You can jam it into gear, but you have to rev match the downshifts. And if you get that even the slightest bit wrong, if you under-rev the motor, you can really create a lot of wheel hop. And what that is basically your rear tires turning into basketballs. Brandon Bowers is spun out in turn 10B. The race leader has looped it.
Unbelievable. That makes Josh Banks, I believe, will be the leader now across the line. Devin Tier, Calusa right. Where does, he just gets in a little too hot into 10A, and then in 10B tries to pick up the power, almost salvaged that one. Goes for a pretty harmless spin, and this race won't be over for him, but now more cars off the 48.
Yeah, it was too calm early. I knew something was going to happen. Jeff Wright started in second, now back to sixth with a mistake through turn number 1. Bowers continues to have issues. He's off again in turn number 2.
And
so
that's
bad to worse.
That's just what happens when you overheat the tires once. They're just done. On these road courses. The 52 goes for a ride. We had another car, I think it was the Angelo Hronis of the 29. He was getting rowdy in the back of one of these shots too. So tires 5 laps into this 42-lap event already starting to go away with no doubt.
So Rona's chasing down Jeff Wright in the number 48. And you're right, I think tire conservation is going to be the key to win this race. And we thought it would be long. It actually ends up being a little bit shorter than we thought, about 50 minutes remaining. So as Joshua Banks heads down the back straightaway, it's only 3/10 between him and Sam Devontier in second place, who was the fastest driver in practice. He's coming for the race lead.
Going to see that car in the mirrors without a doubt. Bright and bold, the 99.7 Sam Devontier. So it's only down to second gear, keeping the power and the RPMs pretty low, but not to keep the spin the tires up over turn number 11, and then diving down the hill. They still have Calusa with them too, so it's a 3-car breakaway after multiple mistakes in the top 10. Things have shuffled around a little bit, so it's Banks, Devontier, Calusa are the contenders at this point.
Climbing up the hill and watching Devontier track out to the exit curb. That's a terrifying place to have a left rear tire. If you hang it over the edge, you're going to go for a loop. The top 3 all sort of condensing here just a little bit as we work lap number 6. Ronis has gone wide in turn number 1.
He was the driver that was pretty wet wild into turn number 2 on the previous lap. So that car showed signs of getting away from him last lap. This time he actually loses it there. The Adidas car still looking really nervous over these curbs. And again, only 6 laps into this race. We've got to go at least, I would say, 20 to 22 laps before we see pit stops. Maybe as early as lap 18, but it's a long way to go from right now.
Certainly is a long way to go. Checking back in up front, 0.4 of a second as they head down the back straightaway. Now this straightaway is one of the longest in North American road racing. And even in these cars, the slipstream is helpful.
Not only the slipstream, but right here, they're cresting at what they call turn 9. The cars get really light. You have to straighten your hands up and almost let the car rotate with momentum through that corner. You don't really turn through that corner. The aerodynamics are such that the cars get really, really hairy through there. Spinning tire smoke from the 36, the 99 pounding curves. Those cars almost touched at the apex of turn 10A. They spread back out as they get back on power. But that turn 9 cresting down to the turn 10A braking zone is probably a pucker moment every single lap for 42 laps straight this race.
Ben Lafter now under attack from AJ Stravato, who's trying to charge back forward as they come across the line. Jeff Wright hasn't really been able to find the pace to go anywhere. He's right in front of these two. But conservative exit through turn 1 there.
Look at Stravato fighting grip on the back of that 33 car, and he had a big hairy moment coming down off of turn 12 that lap as well. So more grip issues. This is going to be so much fun to watch because at some point no one's going to have any grip and all these drivers are going to be hanging on for dear life. And that's when things get fun to watch because you can see exactly what the drivers are doing, managing their grip levels, tracking out to turn 10. Car looks composed now, but he's lost a little bit of distance to the back of the car in front, Ben Lafter.
Into turn number 6. This is a really easy corner to overcharge, and then you have to fight the urge to get to the back of someone in 6 and then go for it in 7 because it's so important to get that run onto the back straightaway.
Well, Stravato locked the rear brakes going into turn 7, left a little bit of rubber on the pavement and lost even more distance to the 64 car in front of him. So that 33 car, I think, is going the wrong way. He's got a lot of buffer behind him, so he just needs to calm down a little bit. He can really salvage this one before 26 Halpern and on back catch him. But now we're looking at the battle between Carwile and the 16, all the way up into 4th, Kifrin Cockrell.
Down the hill now, and Carwile again with extensive road racing experience. I think he's got the upper hand here as he approaches the back of the number 16, and Carwile started this race in 7th spot. He's climbed 2 as they head through turn 1. The 16, a little bit of a lateral slip through the middle of the corner. Now, all about getting through turn 3 and carrying that momentum down the S's to turn 5.
And listen to just how early Carwile backed off the throttle. They're still way back. They can't even see turn 3, and they're already on the brakes, backed off the throttle. before turn 3 to make sure that they don't overshoot that corner. Whoa, all cars all over the place. Exiting turn 1, the 24 is off. That's the 26, gathering it up from a spin, and one car shoots up the center.
Let's have it back and see what happened to Halpern. Just gets in too hot. You see the brake rotors glowing. Just a slow, lazy spin, and a couple of drivers sort of taking evasive action around the outside. Pretty decent hit there to the concrete. Meanwhile, while that's going on, for the race lead, 0.2 of a second, we got a battle on our hands here, Tom.
He's in the drafting zone. Which way does he pick? The leader, 36 Banks, is going to protect to the left. Sam Devontier, car's going to get really light right here. Might have to back off the throttle just a little bit, and as soon as they crest on the brakes, he's going to look to the outside, deep into turn 10A. Hard to pull off out there, locks the front.
Couldn't quite get it woed down. Here comes the 20 of Bryce Calusa. It's a three-way party up at the top of the field here. 8 laps into a 42-lap race. You'd think it's lap 41.
And here's what I'm talking about. Less is more. These drivers have to make sure they don't get caught up in racing with each other right now, because it doesn't matter right now. They have so much more of a race to go in this race. It's okay to be a little slow. It's okay to be very conservative right now. And I have to wonder, is Carwile doing that? Because he's looked pretty composed at the back of the 71 car. And even though he's kind of right on the back of the 16, he's not trying to do anything crazy. He's very, very calm and composed. Where the drivers at the front, they look like they're racing each other, and in my opinion, they shouldn't be.
I wanted to take a look at something we just saw come through the frame there as we watch the 48. So here's the 16 come in. Watch the amount of curbing that they take. You see Carwile takes a little bit more than the 16, but then watch the 48 come in here. He's going to drill the curb with the right side tires, and watch him land. Watch what the car does. Slams on the ground and bounces once, twice, 3 times. And they have super stiff springs in these cars, Tom. You get too much curbing, you're not getting any grip on the ground. You're just sliding those front tires.
Yeah, and the key is making sure that you don't also have a bunch of pedal in the car. You know, if you've got the steering input in the car and it's bouncing, that's one thing, but if you got some pedal in the car, you can go for a ride. This battle for the lead, though, they obviously can't hear us because they're still racing for this one.
Yeah, they're not giving it up. Devontier deep on the brakes again, a little bit more conservative that time. Smoke from the race leader. Banks is off in 10B, slams over the curbing. The 99 gets hit from behind. Calusa turns Devontier around, and he spins in 10B, and just like that, you're out of the battle for the lead.
Man, giant accordion, and he's got to be careful. Don't light those rear tires on fire. He's not out of this one yet. And I have to wonder, is he within the pit window pretty soon? If he could just go pit in and run some clean laps. He's not out of this one yet, but a big accordion down into turn in 10A. I don't know if even the 20 car could have seen that was coming up, but unfortunately into the back of the 99, and our battle for the lead is disintegrated real fast.
Yeah, I don't think he can make it from here. I think you have to go another 5 or 6 laps before he can even think about pulling a strategy like that. So that put him way, way back and totally changes his strategy. Meanwhile, Ronas off again in turn 1. Been a big struggle for him here today as Jonathan Hernandez closes in from behind. So Joshua Banks, with that mistake, actually helped himself by kind of bodging up the drivers in behind him.
Yeah, got away with one, and that slots the battle between Cockrell and Carwile up for the podium at this point in the race. Keep an eye on those drivers because they're looking the most composed of anybody in the top grouping. Both of these drivers making smart calls. No brake lock up into turn 10, turn 7 right there. Very clean exits, not bothering each other, but they do have some company. Looks like Jeff Wright's pretty close.
Yeah, Jeff Wright is about half a second back as they chase each other down the straightaway. Carwile's weakness seems to be getting out of turn number 7, but he's going to gather this up in the shifting, and how smooth he can get through the gearbox is probably from his road racing experience. And these cars don't take a lot of skill to get into the gears, but getting down back to the lower gears is super important. You see the 16 struggling as he comes out of 10B.
Yeah, good rolling speed from the 71, and I totally agree. Downshifting and braking is the real challenge of these cars. Once you break the habit of just thinking that you can wheel the heck out of them because they're big rowdy. Whoa, the 33 goes big rowdy. That's Travato in the background. That's not fast. It looks cool, but it's not fast. If you can get your head around less is more, you're going to be successful in these NASCAR Cup cars, but Road Atlanta is really tough to be super consistent because you have to be a little bit of a risk taker in sections like this, pounding off the curbs. You got to hit that, but every single time perfectly consistent.
If you want to watch drifting, you got that here at Grid Life Bayou Badge this weekend. Not so much something you want to be doing at Road Atlanta in a stock car, but these guys are having fun doing it. Watching Sam Devontier, he is on a mission right now. Last time by, he was the quickest driver in the top 10, so he's not lost any pace, even though he's probably driving a little bit upset right now, and I think he's probably trying to get back to Bryce Calusa at the 20.
If I'm Devontier, as long as I've done my research and I know what my fuel run can do, I'm going to run quick laps until I get to the back of these guys that I'm going to pick, because I don't want to get held up by these guys for any amount of time at all. You can't afford to lose time like that once you're already on the back foot. And if he's on the back foot like he is, as soon as he starts to get held up, he's losing time to these leaders, which is critical moments. So if he can pit, get back into some clear track with some fresh tires, just run clean laps, he could be a big upset coming back from now down into 6th place. Once the pit stop cycle through, he could be in a great spot.
Up the hill, a great battle here for 3rd place. Cockrell, Carwile, and Wright all together. It's going to be a 4-car battle soon. Up at the front, though, Calusa has caught Joshua Banks, and they're sort of stuck right now. We talked earlier about this track is not easy to pass at. There's really one good passing zone, and the rest of the lap, you're basically following someone. It's very similar to Sonoma. You spend your entire lap gearing up for one move, and I think Calusa's got to figure out how to time it right so that he gets there when he needs to.
Yeah, in fast cars like this, you're really more racing Road Atlanta than you are racing each other. It kind of comes down to mistake management. We've seen a lot of those mistakes so far in the first 12 laps of this 42-lap race. So the ORL drivers out here in the NASCAR Cup cars will challenge for the lead. The 21 cars up the inside.
And down into turn number 6, big lateral slide. 36 crosses him over. He'll have another look down into turn number 7 to try to grab it back. Gets the nose in there. The 20 leaves him space. Now a drag race down the backstretch in the red Georgia soil.
Whoa, super clean stuff. The 36 gets a big step off the corner, goes for a little bit of a slide, loses his momentum in the 20 car. Bryce Calusa, a great challenge down into turn 6. Gets it done and goes to the point.
Great pass there. I don't think it's over quite yet, though. Banks trying to go. I might have missed a shift heading down the back straightaway, lost a couple tenths of a second. So move Bryce Calusa to the top spot. Still battles going on behind him. Sam Devontier has gotten by Jeff Wright, puts him in 5th. Now sets its sights on Clifton Cockrell, and Carwile has made the pass for 3rd. So lots of shuffling in the last lap or two.
Even though AJ Estrabado has gone for a couple of big hairy rides, he's moving along pretty good and hanging onto the back of this battle too. So 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th are all within sight of each other. As long as you got that rabbit, you still got the motivation. So I think any of these drivers are still in contention. It's just a matter of starting to string those laps together. As the 99 car is really on the back bumper of the 16. Carwile somehow got through there, and he's up to 3rd.
Into turn number 3 now. Cockrell a little bit defensive here. 99 nips the curb. Cockrell misses it just a little bit, puts him offline, and then that kind of screws up your entire S sequence. So important to get that curb and hit it just right.
Yeah, unfortunately the 99's not going to have anywhere to go with it, but he might be able to get a good run off of turn 5 down towards turn 6, which is where the lead exchange last time. Does the 99 get a run? He looks left, looks right. No, keeps it in line this time through. You could really carry a ton of speed into this corner. It's got a lot more banking than camera does justice. And then you just got to make sure you don't overcharge this critical turn 7. Who gets it right? The 16's a little deep. The 99 looks good, gets a good clean exit. I think the 99 car might be able to get a run this lap.
And it might be pretty line sensitive out there. You actually see the rubber forming where the left side tires are digging into the pavement. So if you get out of that grip zone, you're going to struggle with understeer big time. These cars already don't want to turn. So getting yourself outside and into the marbles is going to make it even worse. Big moment for Cockrell on the braking zone. Had to swing the car back to the right. Into the braking zone for 10A, and the 99 is right there and ready to party.
One of the fastest cars last time through, mentioned it before, is the 33 of AJ Estrabado, one of the only drivers into the 123s last time through. They are now 3 to 4 seconds off of their best laps, so the tires falling off significantly 14 laps into this 42-lap race. Looking down just a little bit further, Jonathan Hernandez has pretty good pace left in the car. So does Casey Latgos. Those drivers are down outside the top 10, but they're still turning 123s, while all the leaders are closer to the 124s.
And Casey Latgos in the 50, running in 12th right now. And he was struggling in practice to get the car on the racetrack. That's actually a car inspired by our friend James Houghton, the K-tuned car that he brought to Circuit of the Americas and basically crushed everybody with. Casey's run a couple of Grid Life Touring Cup inspired paint schemes the last couple of weeks. Eric Till's car, Neil Tabbs he's run before. So he's got GLTC on the hood of this thing and representing it as he heads down the hill into turn number 5. So he's having a good time out there for sure. As we head back around and look for some more battles on the racetrack. I see one. I'm going to take you there in just a moment. That is the battle for 4th, Cockrell and Devontier. Now they're getting even closer.
Looks like the 16 is really struggling in turn 7. That 99 closes up every single time until they get off the corner, and the 16 is able to stretch the lead out just a little bit. I was going to call out towards the front. We saw Bryce Calusa in the 20 make the pass for the lead last time through turn 6. The first clear lap he has, he goes 122. He's seconds clear of the field on raw pace right now and has already built a 2.3 second lead. But we're still watching this battle between Cockrell and Devontier. Deventier's got a run out of 11.
This is a hard place to get a run because you can't really do anything about it until you get to at least turn number 1. The 16 gives him half a lane.
Don't try.
Oh, I don't know about that. In turn 1, that's a hard place to make a move. He's going to chuck it up the inside, and I think Cockrell might have helped him out there just a little bit.
Yeah, well done on the brakes not to lock anything up, and the 99 goes through back up to 4th. Remember, he was challenging for the lead until he got spun a couple laps ago. So we're 15 laps complete, a little over a third of the way done. and the question marks start to come up. How soon do the first pit stops start to come into play?
I think it's all about where you are on track and who's in front of you, who's behind you. I think if you can leapfrog, if you're Joshua Banks and you can leapfrog Bryce Calusa by pitting a lap or two early, do it. But if you're Bryce Calusa, you're not going to come in until your fuel runs out. You want to use those good tires at the end of the race and have that advantage. So it's all going to depend on your situation. Alex Bell's situation, he's got Brandon Bowers in behind. Remember, Bowers was the driver that started on pole and ended up spun around in 10A and 10B. So he's a man on a mission. He has not had immense pace since that incident, though. So I don't know what's up.
No, he's doing all right though. He's got the pace of the top 3 still in that car last time through. As long as he's not in traffic, the car looks pretty quick, the 31 car, but also one of the fastest laps of the race. It's just a matter of how quickly can you navigate traffic. And he's in another one of those positions that we talked about with. Can I make up time by just pitting? Yeah, I might not have the best car at the end of the race, but I can make up some of that time in the middle. Look at it move around on the brakes. Whoa, deep into turn 10B.
A big wobble there, and took a big chunk of curbing on the left and on the right as well, tracking out and heading up the hill. The car gets light as you crest, and then settles back down into full compression. That's actually a pretty short period between your shocks basically wanting to send you to space and then slamming down onto the bump stops at the bottom of the hill. So the suspension gets a big workout there. Jeff Wright hits pit lane. He's been struggling, but the first one to come on down for a scheduled pit stop.
So that's lap 16 of 42, which means we can do about 2/3 of this race on a tank of fuel, a set of tires. But I think that 48 car was probably going to be a pretty big handful by the end of this race. That probably means that we can see pit stops as late as maybe even lap 30.
Big bobble there for Alex Bell coming down the hill. At a moment, Brandon Bauer smells the blood in the water. So does Angelo Ronas. He's following both of them. He could get 2 for 1 here. But look at the slide on the 31, just getting the power down halfway down the straightaway.
Wow, that's a very mild crest, and you would never think of that as something to spin the car up. But we've got, what, 800-900 horsepower? In these
not
cars?
quite, 750 now.
Okay, so almost. Plenty is what we'll call it. Plenty of horsepower.
Not as much as we should have.
Yeah, and just over that crest is enough to light the back end of the 31 up. He's actually lost quite a bit of time on that one. Dropped 2 or 3 car lengths back from the back of the 15.
Down the back straightaway, seeing speeds well over 175, 180 miles an hour for Alex Bell. How about 185 miles an hour into the braking zone? Ooh. Big lockup there for a moment.
Fastest car on the track last time through the 99 is Sam Devon Tier. But there seems to always be a light switch right here around the 15 lap mark. The leader was running 122s. He's down to the 124s. These tires falling off fast.
Caution is out. Full course yellow. Was not expecting that. Matthew Close turned around and in a bad spot. Caution flies.
Wow.
Strategy. Wow. All right, that totally throws a wrench in. I didn't even know we had a potential for a yellow, but here we are.
Yeah, me either. And I think we know we're in the window. I think we know we're in the window. Because if you have to pit under green when other drivers have pit under caution, you're really at a disadvantage.
Here's a look at the replay here for the number 92 coming through turn 6, kind of all on his own, and heads into turn number 7 and just runs wide. And I think he's going to try to compensate, stomping on the throttle and just spins it out, find the concrete.
Got that tire in the groove right between the edge of the track and that curb. That can make the tire do weird things, sends him for a ride. Car looks pretty okay, but we're going to collect the field up. The 20 car had built up a 5-second lead over Joshua Banks. Bryce Calusa did not want to see this caution come out. But the reality is, you got to make the call now. Can you make it to the end? Can you be confident in making it to the end? Or, if these cautions are going to play into it, does another one come out?
Always a possibility. Lap number 17 complete as the caution comes out. It'll give us a minute to kind of get the field back up and bunch back up. Then pit stops. If you're Jeff Wright, I think you're super frustrated because he's a lap down now, and he will get the free pass, but he will still have to line up behind everybody else. So it's not going to work out very nicely for him, unfortunately. Now, think about if the drivers had known the yellow was coming, they would have made a pit stop right before it. They wouldn't go a lap down, but they would still get out and not have to pit under the yellow flag. So I think you're going to make a pit stop now. But maybe someone tries not to and does something a little bit different. I mean, that just for track position, maybe.
Yeah, if you're towards the back of the field, I don't hate that idea because what do you got to lose, you know? But in general, I think the top 10, maybe even top 15, I think it's kind of a death sentence if the rest of the race goes green and you don't take this opportunity to pit under green flag, you're going to lose so much time. I think down here for a fuel and tire stop plus the length of the pit lane has got to be at least 45, 50 seconds, which is a significant portion of the lap. And you're not really going to make that up, even if you're seconds a lap faster for the last 10 laps of the race.
If you're just joining us, you're watching the 8th round of the 2020 Outsider Racing League season. My name's Kyle Heyer, joined tonight by 4-time winner in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge Series, and he's won here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, so it's good to have you here finally. We tried to do this at Road America. That didn't work so hot, so we're doing it again this time much better. As we head down the back straightaway, our first caution of the night. 2 lead changes so far. Some dramas towards the front have led to Bryce Calusa leading us during our first yellow flag of the evening. Joshua Banks is in second. Sam Devontier going to be super thankful for that yellow. All that track position he lost in the spin, he gains right back. So maybe you try maybe even 2 tires, maybe get just left sides. I think 2 tires typically a death sentence in these cars, but worth trying something.
Yeah, I was going to call out definitely the 99 of Sam Devontier and also the 31 of Brandon Bowers have run in the top 3 in this race, have had incidents plague their race and put them down outside of the top 5. Those 2 drivers have big opportunities here, along with a number of other drivers that have had some pretty dramatic races. Angelo Ronis is one of them. We've seen that 29 car off the track a number of times. Adrian Travado might have used up more of that 33 than he meant to with some hairy rides as a significant portion of the top group. Let's see, is anybody staying out? No, the 20, 36, 71, 16, the whole field coming in at least the top 10. There's 11 down the pit lane. Who has stayed out? Has anybody stayed out?
I don't think you would. I think you come in, and I think you have to. I think the tires fall off so much. We're seeing lap time differentials, 2, 3, 4 seconds worth of drop off. I think you have to come in now. And given that this is basically the halfway point of the race, you fuel up, you're good to go to the end. Now, this gives you a reset on your conservation, however. So if you found out that you were slow 15 laps into the race, now you know I should back it down a little bit and conserve better for the second run.
Ooh, it's really close on the pit stops. The 20 is going to lead it out. The 36 comes out second. The 71, I think, gained a position on pit lane. He's up to 3rd, leaving that pit lane spot.
One driver did stay out. That's Casey Lakatis. He always does this just to grab the point for leading a lap, and then ends up starting towards the rear of the field. So this nickel and diming thing, where he just grabs a point for leading a lap, this has helped him a lot in the past seasons, and it's a really interesting strategy that no one else really tries. But I guess it wouldn't work so well if more than one person tried to do it.
Sure.
Porsche pace car for a NASCAR race. That's a new one. I mean, I guess it's better than an 05 Mustang GT or whatever the normal one
I wish it was the truck dragging door handles here around Road Atlanta. But, okay, so the 50 is going to come out. I guess Carwile actually did not pick up a spot.
Well, I guess he will, because Lakatis will come in down pit lane when next time they come around. He'll drop to the tail of the field, which would move Carwile up to the 3. Whew. All right, take a breath. It's been a wild race so far. Road racing and stock cars is always fun. Again, we raced Road America earlier in the season, and that was a blast. But typically we ran Silverstone in these cars a couple seasons ago here. Cool. We ran Watkins Glen, which is not crazy, but they've been relatively experimental. We actually had the 87 stock cars for the 3-wide racing league at Tsukuba a few weeks ago. That wasn't quite as entertaining as I was hoping it would be. It's kind of more of a cluster, but I'm sure you can imagine how that could go. So field down the back straightaway, and we should be coming to 1 to green this time by, at most 2 to green.
So all the strategy we were talking about at the beginning of this race, where you can choose whether you want to run long and have a fast car at the end or pit early and try to get into some clear track, that strategy is tossed out the window. Unless we get another caution flag, this has pretty much forced everybody onto the early first third of the race strategy, which means they're going to have to last, 20 to 23 laps on these set of tires. So whatever amount of damage they just did to their tires, they have to last 4 more laps. As now the 50 car comes in the pit lane, he'll get his pit stop done and try to catch up to the back of the field before that green flag. But everybody has to put their conservation hat on and make sure that they can last 23 laps around Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta in these big stock cars.
We got the 1 to green. Lights have extinguished atop the pace car, doubling up, re-racking and restacking. And we've got all, but so Matt Wagner looks like he is out for the day. So is Corey Steinhauser. David Mott Jr. has called it today as well. So 19, make that 18. Brian Chambliss is also on. 18 drivers left in the race. Jeff Wright all the way at the tail of the field here. And this has not gone. And this has not gone his way. And I think this is the frustration that he's had. Is he's got pace, but he just can't ever really seem to get the luck to stick with him after he won a whole barrage of road races in this series a couple seasons ago. So times have changed a little bit for Jeff Wright, but he's going to give it all he has in the last 20 or so laps. Big hop over there, even jumping curbs and caution flag. Through turn 5 and restart lane. What do you think? Inside is the only way to go?
Yeah, I went the inside for turn 1 here at Road Atlanta because you can really brake late and use the terrain to your advantage as you get that rise up into turn 2. The terrain catches, kind of shovels you up the track, almost like a ski jump or something. You gain a bunch of grip, and as long as you're a little bit braver on the brakes without going too exuberant, you can definitely protect. We've even seen drivers make that pass from behind up the inside. I think it was the 99 of Devin Tier pulled that pass off a couple of laps before the caution came out. So I'm watching a little bit of damage on the back of that 99, but I'm watching the purple and teal car. I'm also watching Brandon Bowers, the 31. Those two drivers, top position drivers that have big opportunities to make up some ground. But I really think you got to be in conservation mode, be patient, pick your spots, and let the race come to you, because we've seen just how fast these tires fall off. They have to be 4 laps longer than we had seen when that caution came out.
So coming back to the green flag here in just a moment, we'll be working just about 23 laps to go, 22 laps to go, I think, when we take the green. So field doubling up. And now that we get a chance to kind of rack up the field the right way, the start was a little chaotic because I don't think people realized that we were going to go green that fast. Now they'll probably be organized a little bit better. I think that might not be a good thing. I think we'll have a lot of cars very close together that are being very aggressive. I think turn 1 might be a bloodbath here. Here we go.
Yeah, I do agree that start was clean because it was very spread out. It is not the case. We got the top 12 cars all bunched up. Look at the 31 already starting to change lanes, hunting just a little bit in the background. He goes to the center, but a huge breakaway for the 20. The 36 goes with. Look at the 33.
Wow.
Big break lock up, and he goes up to second. Does he keep it on the track, though? Yes.
Wow, he gained 3 or 4 spots all in one move. He goes to second place as the rest of the field streams up through turn 3. Ryan Carwell's offline to the inside, jumps the curb under the 99. They're going to go side by side down the hill.
Devin Tier up to 4th, but the big mover so far is Stravado.
Oh, Bowers has lost it. He's up at the top of the hill. He's gotten turned into the fence and drops to the tail. No major damage, but he was the victim of all the chaos on that restart.
More heartbreak for that 33 car, but Calusa's got a clean breakaway, almost a second lead over Stravado. Banks, Devin Tier, Carwile in the top 5 with Cockrell still in there. Cockrell is on the bumper of Carwile, but it's a top 4 kind of breaking away. Calusa and then a 3-pack of Stravado, Banks, and Devin Tier. Look at this chaos into turn 7. Single file and pretty clean, not a lot of movement. Everyone on fresh tires. Don't use them up, guys.
Well, I think they already used a bunch of them up, and Brandon Bowers took his off-roading. Some battles deep in the field. Bailey Turner having a look. And a bit of blocking going on here. Ben Lafter with the 64 making a move to the right, back to the left, into the braking zone for 10A. We've been pretty conservative here for the most part. Not a whole lot of action down in this corner. I think people are trying not to be the guy that spins off into the gravel.
Yeah, the one of Jonathan Hernandez was a little deep into 10A, so they're going to spread out, see just how far he drops back to the 24. Bailey Turner also had not the greatest run out of turn 10B, so that battle that was bumper to bumper is now spread out quite a bit. That's going to be a little bit easier to stay calm if you're spread out, but that battle for second is tight. Look at 33 of Stravado with a near full of Banks and Devin Tiers in there as well.
Down the hill through the S's, and Bryce Calusa leads the way. Second place. AJ Stravado's move on the restart was phenomenal, puts himself into second place. Banks, though, was a little slower last time by, so Stravado might be a driver that could go up there and run down Bryce Calusa. And I'm curious to see, now that we've had a nice clean restart, to see if Stravado can run quicker than Calusa this lap around.
Well, Stravado had a bunch of dramatic moments early in the race. We saw big Leary slides in turn 12, a couple of other moments for that 33 car. So maybe some education. Whoa, the 24 deep blocks up the brakes, spins across the track. One avoids him, and he was going for the over-under. Well, not really the over, just straight under. And gets a terrible run on the back straight. The 30 is going to go by as well of Jeremy Miller. Whoa, big jump. Started 22nd. One of the drivers that did not qualify, and they're going to go side by side with the 24, reeling from that mistake down into 10B, but gets the braking done. The 33 car takes the point.
Yeah, lock up there for the 30 just a little bit. The 24 had a horrendous start to the season. Won at Darlington and really got a lot of momentum there, but this is a wild scrap back here for what is 11th place on back.
Take a look at the 14 of Ricardo's already up to the 50. He's up to 14. Having pitted off-site the sequence from everybody else, caught the back of the field for the restart, and he's made up a number of positions, so that strategy still paying off once again for the 50 car, as long as he keeps this clean, but there's a lot of slicing and dicing going up into turn 3.
He almost wiped out the pit exit cone. He was so far offline. Look at the 50 up the inside of Halpern. That's going to get dicey on corner exit. 20 laps to go from Road Atlanta.
Wow, he holds it around the outside of turn 4 and is going to shut the door. They bang doors in the S's.
That's
side by side, and they're through the grass. And now, side by side for the 48, goes for a big hairy ride, loses connection for a minute into the gravel, but saves it, spins it across the track.
Woo! That was
and
wild.
Everybody survives.
That was crazy. That was some Dukes of Hazzard stuff down the hill. For second place, 0.3 of a second. Who's here? Sam Devontier. Third place.
Wow, I like that one. Well done.
Thank you.
There's a look from the 99 cockpit. We'll see if rolls out of the throttle as he crests the hill here. You heard that lift for just a minute, straightens the wheel up and grabs a couple downshifts down into the second gear. 63 miles an hour minimum speed before hopping the curb and getting back under the bridge at turn 11. And then it's that 10-story drop onto the front straightaway. Still have a little bit of a glimpse of Bryce Calusa way up the road, but he's disappearing and pulled out now 2.1 seconds in just 3 green flag laps after that caution.
Great battle for a second shaping up here. Devontier real fast through turn number 1. The 33 cuts hard right. He's going to let him go. And you know why this is? Because I think he thinks that the 99 can go run down the 20 and create a battle that he can then drive up to. So maybe some strategy there.
I don't think we saw any sort of off-track shenanigans. I would have almost said that was a cut penalty, but I don't think there was any sort of off-tracks from the 33. So I agree. Maybe the 33 doing that conservation game. Remember, we said less is more. And maybe Stravato's got that in mind as the 92 goes for a ride.
Yeah, another spin in turn number 1. That's been a trouble spot today. It's a corner that kind of relies on a lot of downforce. That's tight as they come out of 5. Jeremy Miller and Bailey Turner going nose to tail there. And looks like the 30 car will tuck in behind. And I was mentioning the 24 Bailey Turner had a horrendous start to the season, but has really racked up some impressive finishes. Was the winner at Darlington, ending, I believe, a 60-something race wins or losing streak. So finally got back in victory lane. This week has been a tough one for him, though, and I think he's going to have a little bit of work to do before we head into next week.
Not too bad, just outside the top 10, so it's still salvageable. With 19 laps to go, we are, what is that, just past halfway of this event, about 25 minutes remaining, so Bailey Turner's just about where he started. Looking a little ragged through turns 10A and B, though, so that 24 car's got to keep an eye on the tire conservation. Up at the front, 3.1 seconds now this time. Calusa puts a full second on the field.
Yeah, he's really rocking it out right now at the top. Look at AJ Stravato now having to defend from Joshua Banks, who's joined the party. Ryan Carwile's not too far back, and as they head down the hill, Joshua Banks, he actually ended up, he stopped running this series for a while because he had internet problems and really couldn't stick around to race a whole lot, but he was always a threat everywhere we went, and the road courses especially. I think back a couple seasons, actually the first race we ever broadcasted for the series, back when it was the Virtual Racing League, he won in a last lap battle with Eric Hutton. They actually made contact at the Watkins Glen bus stop, and 36 was the winner of that battle. So he knows how to win at road courses, and he sits 4th right now looking for 3rd.
He looks pretty composed. The 36 car actually was 2nd place, taking the restart, dropped all the way to 4th, but the pace looks pretty good. And I really think that it doesn't matter much. I mean, even if you're a second a lap off the pace right now, when your tires are better, when everyone else's are worse, you can make up significantly more time just in minimizing mistakes and being patient. So I don't think it's make or break time right yet.
Calusa leads by 2.8 seconds. Here's another battle into 10A, the 64 and 29 of Laughter and Ronas. That's for 8th, real dicey, real tight as they came out of 10B. That looked a lot like the Michelin Challenge race here a few weeks ago. They tore up a lot of cars in that one. I'm not sure that you were paying attention, but they rode up about 10 cars in that race.
I heard about that, and it made me go rewatch it. And it's, that is absolutely the case. These guys have been significantly cleaner, so props to the ORL guys. Tip of my hat. Doing better so far than the pro guys, but look at the 33 starting to get ragged. That's for 3rd place, AJ Stravato, and you're looking at the back bumper from Joshua Banks' nose. At 36, we were talking about him being patient. He's got to eventually stop getting held up if the 33 gets rowdy. He's not only getting held up, but he's in the danger zone of getting collected.
For sure. 17 laps to go now as we work our way towards the latter parts of this race. Through turn 6, nice and calm, cool, and collected. Other battles happening around the racetrack are not quite as intense as this one for 3rd right now, so we'll stay on this as Calusa just continues to lap the field. Notably, though, Sam Devontier, who's 2nd place, was 4/10 faster last time by, so this is far from over.
Kind of some ebb and flow going on there. I suspect we'll continue to see that. The 99, I think, has looked pretty good the entire race. He was all the way up to challenging for the lead before getting turned. Right here where we're looking, he got a little bit of a nose into the bumper, went for a spin, got a fortunate reset with that yellow flag, and is now mounting a charge. We'll see what the lap times are this time through, but he looks quicker to be again. Last time through for the leader was a 21.7. Devontier this time through 21.9, so actually loses a little bit of time that time through.
See Calusa about 2/10 faster last time by. We'll keep our eye on this gap. I think it'll fluctuate a little bit more. Stravato and Banks chasing each other up the hill. You know what? I'm seeing a lot of drivers as they come through turn 1. They're cutting really tight to the right. Is that the line that you would take in a sports car? Or why do you think that they're jerking that far to the right as they come out of turn 1?
Well, cresting at turn 2, if we cut back a little further in the field and ride with someone through that section, you're going to see you're basically pointed at the sky. We'll hop on board here. Is the faster you can get over to the right before you crest this hill, the car gets light, and if you can come over this crest straighter, look at that. He sets up really early and gets a nice straight braking zone into turn 3. That's the idea when you're in a big, rowdy car like this. If you're in a car with a lot of downforce, a lot of grip, you don't have to worry about that. Oh, no, the 50 goes around.
Yeah, Casey Lakatos has looped it. Let's find out what happened to him as he came down the hill towards turn number 5. Just kind of got offline just a little bit, kind of had a tank slapper there just a touch, and I think he's ended up kind of rolling back across the curbing to get out of the way.
Yeah, it's a good call, but fortunately, that's a long time to slide on the tires. So the 50 car is going to have to take it easy for a little bit to bring those back. Hops the curb to turn 7, and that car still looks like a bit of a handful. Everything seems straight, but lost a couple of positions on the track. He had made it all the way up to 12th and now down to 16th.
Alex Bell runs in 7th right now. He's got Ben Lafter in behind him in the number 64. 0.2 of a second. That Mustang looking pretty mean right behind him. They sweep through turn 12. This is another place we have had surprisingly little off tracks here, and this is probably because it just scares you so much. And you drop a wheel off there, and it's a crazy ride. A car with downforce are stable. These cars, you'll find yourself upside down and backwards before you can even check your belts. So it's not a fun time.
No, and it's also these cars gotta use the curves a little bit, straighten the track out, but that curve at turn 12 is no joke. In one of these
Whoa!
big tank slapper for the 15, gathers it up. Wow, huge save, but the 64 manages to sweep across and take the position.
Holy cow. That was a great save by the 15.
I can't believe he saved that.
Oh, that's a tough spot to save it. Maybe that was a 2-foot save where you jam the gas and brake and just hope it does something. Yeah.
Close your eyes and hope.
Yeah. That works better than you think sometimes in iRacing.
Loses 2 positions to the 64 and the 29, so Lafter and Veronis up 2 positions each. Battle drops back, but I think he's probably okay with that, having saved that tank slapper.
I think he's pretty proud of that. Up front, Sam Devontier looks like he ate into the lead again, 3/10. I'm not sure it's been super consistent, but that gap is down to 2.7, which I think is the smallest it's been in a couple laps.
I know Calusa slows down significantly on this time through. So does Sam Devontier, though, way down, almost a full second slower. So we might be, well, let me do the mental math real quick. And I think last time through, we saw that light switch hit.
Oh, tight for 3rd place. Travato and Banks get together. They collect each other, and they're both going to hang on. It was a messy exchange for position. He'll drag a cone with them, but move Banks to 3rd. Ryan Carwile watching all of that. And as they head down the hill through turns 4 and 5, I think the blood in the water is quite fragrant right now with those two going at each other.
All right, mental math done. I can get back into this one. So about 7 laps since we took the green flag. So seven green flag laps on this set of tires since the pit stops for all of these drivers. That is absolutely within the window of the first time we started to see that tire wear really take effect. And then the light switch flipped when it was about 15 green flag laps after that first run. So when we see maybe 8-7 laps to go up in that upper left-hand corner, these cars are going to be a huge handful. The 31 car is already a handful. Look at that Daba opposite lock coming into turn 6. And this has absolutely not been Bauer's night, but he's still hustling the 31 car and is just outside the top 10, sitting in 12th.
Got our buddy Ryan Kristoff watching from home right now. It's good to see him. He was in the chat. Said thanks for the invite. So sorry, Greg. Come out to the racetrack. We'll put you on a MTV stream as we head down into 10A.
Dude, these cars are a blast, Ryan. Come race them.
Come race them. He's got a little baby NASCAR. He's got it's got the NASCAR paint scheme on it.
That is true. That is true. You can put that one on here. Bring it out.
I think that's where he created the scheme in iRacing. So, and then he put it on his real car. So that was pretty rad. Anyway, for 7th place, Ben Lafter and Angel Ronis. We've been going at it for a little while up the hill. The sun in the eyes here just a little bit. Kind of a cloudy day, so not too big of a concern, but big jump there for the 29. Working 13 laps to go, up and over the curbing as they exit turn 5 and head down to the short chute. Big wobble for the 15 of Alex Bell. I want to give him what was it? Back in the day, it was the All-State Good Hands move of the race. I always liked that.
That's pretty. I was actually going to say in the moment, if they give a point for leading a lap, they should give a point for a moment like that, because that was big push at the apex of 7. But if 15 cars still circulating. I was going to say, back up at the front, we saw Bryce Calusa slowed down a half second last time through. Devin Tier had slowed down a full second. This time, Devin Tier claws back 0.2 of it, so it's hovering right at that 2.7 to 3 second gap at the front, which means if they both just kind of ebb and flow back and forth like that, Calusa has a comfortable gap, but Devin Tier is knocking on the door of being within striking distance of that draft within one small mistake from the 20, because that time is going to disintegrate away really, really fast, as this time now Calusa is faster this time.
Yeah, a little bit of lap traffic to deal with, but not going to be much of a concern. I believe that's the core of David Mott Jr. He's 16 laps down, just out here trying to learn how to run road courses. It's a skill. If you come from the oval racing world, this is so foreign. We actually, when we ran the SimTV League Showdown last season, it was so interesting to see drivers that come from an oval background trying to adapt to road courses, and road drivers trying to adapt to the oval side. But the funniest thing about the road drivers jumping to oval was they didn't understand all the rules. There's a lot of rules in oval racing that people didn't understand. It wasn't so much that the driving was difficult, it was just understanding what the heck was going on.
Basically, and it came down, I was a part of that event, and I actually had to bow out of the oval race because I was on a single monitor. I just couldn't see. I had no idea what was going on around me. I kept crashing in practice, hitting other people. But it came down to a big crash at the finish, and the rules ended up not mattering because it was just kind of like who crossed the line at the right time, backwards, upside down. It didn't matter. But Carwile, we're looking at him, a 71 car, still in the top 5, has run a very kind of calm, quiet race, but strategic and doing a good job nonetheless.
Sometimes calm and quiet's a good race. You know, sometimes you don't want to be the story, because if you're not winning, usually being the story is a bad thing, generally.
Well, I totally agree with that, and he's among the faster cars on the field in the...
Whoa! Bailey Turner, big moment as he crested the hill. Sam Devontier hitting pit lane. So maybe we're in for a second pit stop here as the one of Hernandez. Oh yeah, Joshua Banks also coming down. Second pit stop, that changes things with 11 laps to go here, Tom.
Yeah, I'm not expecting that. I wish I would have been able to do a little more research on the fuel stint of these cars, but if that is the case where everybody has to do one more stop.
I think the caution kind of threw a wrench into it just a little bit. I think that kind of decreased the range.
Yeah, that might have been just outside the fuel window, which meant if you needed to make it to lap 18 and we had the caution on lap 14 or 15, all of a sudden you got to make 2 stops when you don't want to. But the first 2 cars have made that second stop. We'll see if this plays out to a strategic decision or a necessary one.
Well, and Sam Devontier comes on down and took 4 tires and fuel, so he's back out on the racetrack, and he might be able to eat in those 3 seconds that he needed. We'll see if Bryce Calusa stays out another lap. That's a 3-second differential, and that means that Devontier would be leading this race when it cycles all out. The question is, when Calusa comes out on fresh tires, will it be enough to make it happen? 3 wide. Oh no! The 99 slams the wall. The 30 car gets in it as well, and disaster for the 99 of Devontier. Whoa! The 50 car of Lacanes gets tagged, and a wild, wild moment at Road Atlanta. More trouble as the field squeezes on in. There's another car. Wow, this is what he needed. Yeah.
I was going to say, I think the 30 car just trying to hit everybody he can being around this incident, but the initial incident, going back to take a look at it, they were 3 wide, didn't really expect to be. Looks like the 99 was trying to stay on his path. 33 was running out of room, so they were just kind of on intercepting paths, crossed that way. And now the 30 just trying to rejoin the race, tags one more car, and then as they get rolling, watch this, coming down into turn 6, there's one more bit of contact. So unfortunately the 99 is going to retire. There's that last bit of contact. Messy, messy stuff, as being the first to pit, turns out that was a terrible place to be.
That was not a fun place to be. I wanted to go back a little bit farther and watch the impact that they had here as they came through. Watch this one more time as they get together and they hook, and it's just this massive impact. And this is those times when you're glad you're in a sim environment here. You don't have the belts tugging on you in the real world. So Devontier could have won this race. He's out and done for the day.
Driver who is not is the 36 of Joshua Banks, and that car has also made 2 pit stops. We've got a third car has made 2 pit stops. Ryan Carwile came to the pit lane while we were dealing with that mess. Taking a look at the leader, Bryce Calusa. Will he dive to the pit lane at some point in the last couple of laps here? So we either have drivers choosing to make 2 stops, or we have a necessary stop in the booth up here. It's a mystery. We don't really know. So this will be fun to see how this plays out. Or maybe has there been some conservation and fuel saving going on, so some drivers didn't have enough fuel and others did.
I mean, in my defense, probably could have done the research, but I'm a little busy this weekend, so it's fine. We'll figure it out as it happens. 9 laps to go. Bryce Calusa leads. Clifton Cockrell's going to hit pit lane in the number 16. So I think the 36 car we're keeping our eye on. I just wonder how much time he lost in that fiasco and whether or not that'll be enough to overcome what Bryce Calusa running out there clean laps all on his own.
If I'm Bryce Calusa, I'm going to push this to the very last minute because he's in the total clear track. If he pits right now, he's running risk of getting put into traffic when he pits back out, which is exactly why the 99 Cars race ended. He ended up coming back out into some really unfortunate situation where obviously it could have been avoided, but the 36, having done that pit stop, goes for a ride, saves it. Really good save, having dropped the tire on the exit of turn 1. But when you pit, you run the risk of getting put back into some dicey situations. If Calusa's in the clear, just ride it out. Pit at the last possible second. But it's looking like a majority of the top 10 are taking that second stop.
They got to have quick hands here to catch these stock cars. They can get away from you pretty quick. But Bryce Calusa continues to lap out front. I wonder if we'll see him hit pit lane this time or maybe next as we come to 8 laps to go. And about 11 minutes worth of racing. He will stay out another lap, and every time he does that, you have to wonder if this is the right decision. He's got the lead. I wouldn't do anything too crazy, Tom. You don't want to be that different, because if you're that different isn't the different to be, then I lost my train of thought. Don't be different is what I'm saying. Yeah. Fall in line, be the same.
I was just trying to do the mental math once again. Clearly, this isn't my strong suit, but I think the caution had come out at laps 15 or 16. We have done, I think, 14 laps since the green flag flew. So we know the cars can do at least what they did at the beginning of this race, which means there is at minimum 2 laps left in the 20 car before they come down pit lane. So Calusa, Laffer, and Ronis are the top 3 cars. They have all not taken a final pit stop. I think we'll see them in the next 2 laps with 6 to go. Everyone should have completed 2 laps to go by what I'm calculating here, maybe 3 laps.
Ryan Carwile, Clifton Cockrell, they've both made their second stop. Only the front 3 have not come down, as well as Zach Halpern and Casey Lakatos and Matt Burgess. Everybody else has made a second stop. Right now, Bryce Calusa is enjoying a 17-second lead. Of course, without having made that final stop, that is going to dissipate here towards the end of this race. This comes out of turn 11.
You might see that lapped car and dive to pit lane. No, stays out one more time. So that's at least one more lap. I think, again, he's got probably maximum of 2 more in that car. If the fuel stints mental math that I'm doing are true, this is looking back a little bit further. Banks and Stravato, they're battling for position. This is 4th, and if pit stops come into play, this might be for the lead.
AJ Stravato with an amazing move on the restart. Made something happen. Can he make it happen here? Yes, he does. Down the inside into turn 10A. Goes through.
Pretty easily done. Actually, it looks like the 36 almost moved out of the way, lifted, let him go. But the 33 car looks really clean. No body damage on that car that we can see, where it looks like the 36 has been through the wars. And truly it has. So Stravato is the leading car that has completed 2 pit stops. That car is sitting 4th overall right now. And now another car is coming down the pit lane.
Angelo Ronis is on down. AJ Stravato also is our points leader by 28 points over Jeff Wright. He's going to expand that lead as it stands here today. Angelo Ronis is trying to run well because he is currently in 3rd in the points. This is one of his best seasons to date. Alex Bell's 4th, Bryce Calusa's 5th, Bailey Turner 6th. A couple drivers that didn't make it here. Adam Cabot has been on fire lately, and he's won road course races in the past. He is not here, but there was chances for drivers like Sam Devontier to make big gains in the points. They will not tonight. He is out and done for tonight. So 6 laps to go, and the 20 still stays out on the racetrack.
Yeah, 2 cars left having not pitted. The top 2, Calusa and Ben Lafter. And Calusa is 17 seconds up the road from Lafter. So this is, I'm trying to think. I think it's going to be really close between Stravato and Calusa if Calusa takes another pit stop. But this battle between the 36 and Carwile is 71. It is hot. Carwile sweeping around the outside too. The 36 is just not interested in contesting these positions. I
wonder if I'm not sure. He doesn't look like he has a lot of damage. I was wondering if he was slow on the straightaways, but I don't really see anything
the 36 is taking a pit stop. Maybe he short-fueled himself and he's trying to fuel save down that back straightaway. If he's realizing he has 6 laps to go and maybe 3, 4, 5 laps of fuel, got to make sure he makes it to the finish, even if it's a couple positions further back.
Checking in on Zach Halpern. He's got a couple drivers behind him. Lakatos had a big tank slapper. Brandon Bowers in behind. This is a big missed opportunity for him tonight. He had the pace, just didn't have the luck as he's trapped behind the 26 through turn number 12. Maybe a little bit upset. Tried to put the bumper to him and couldn't quite do it.
It's just how hairy turn 12 can be. Had to lift at the apex and the car went for a big slide, but they were bumper to bumper at 10A. Now they're all spread out. Anxiously lean forward into my chair to see, does the pit ticker click over for Bryce Calusa or Ben Lafter this time through?
moment for the 26 as they head through turn 3. Bowers is sort of trapped here, and this has got to be frustrating for him. Climbing the curbing. 5 laps to go. I mean, we continue to roll with Bryce Calusa all on his own here and staying out another lap here, Tom.
It's going to be fun to talk to the drivers after this race as to how much of this was strategy versus choice. And the 31 has the pace, squares up turn 7 big time, tries to get the power down. Looks like he was a little late on throttle, and at the 29, sorry, the 26 gets a decent run. But here comes the freight train of the 31, big draft, and the 26 is actually going to pull over. Let him get on up the inside.
Ben Lafter pits from second, and that leaves Bryce Calusa as the only driver in the top 10, other than Zach Halpern, to have not made a pit stop yet. I don't know. I'm not sure about this. If he has to pit, I think he loses this race.
It's going to be close. I mean, he's got 32 seconds. That's been kind of wavering back and forth. His pace is not very strong, though. Stravato's been seconds faster every single time. So the pit lane delta, it's not enough. I think Stravato takes the win if Calusa pits, unless his pit stop is just a really quick splash and dash.
Yeah, you better. I mean, that might be what he's planning on doing. I'm not really sure. But again, the tires wear out so much. I don't like this. If he can make it, great. If he can't, it's game over, I think. But we'll see how it works. Again, he might have something up his sleeve that we're not aware about. 4 laps to go, stays out. I think he's committed. I don't think he can pit now. Other battles on the racetrack going back to Halpern and Lakatos as they come out of turn 5. The Halpern's slow. Will let the 50 car on through. And here comes the 29. That is for position and for 10th spot. And Ronis makes a decisive move to the inside.
Yeah, that was a good stuff. Basically left him no choice but to let him through. And that 29 car looks nice and clean too. Gets the power down as already starts to motor away from that battle. So that puts Ronis into the top 10. Lakatos having made that off-strategy decision, but kind of caught up in some incidents, still up into the 11th spot in the 50 car.
Yeah, I think Lakatos has not made his second and final pit stop of the day, so the tire differential there quite in view. Calusa's 32-second lead, if it stands, and the other thing to think about is he's got 32 seconds he can burn. He can slow down and clutch in and shut the motor off. And think about how much elevation plays into your hands here at Road Atlanta. All the way down the S's, you can shut the car off and coast. All the way down the hill from the back straightaway into turn 10A, you can coast. I mean, there's so much here that you can do to fuel save, and Calusa's backed off. How about a 1:23.065? That's a half a second slower than Stravato. So he might be backing it off already just to save fuel at this point.
Oh, he sounds like he's off throttle big time. He's definitely
he's coming to pit lane. Oh, that's game over. He couldn't make it work. 3 laps to go. AJ Stravato is going to be handed the race lead unless Calusa short fuels the car. That's his only way out. And we're going to follow him down pit lane and see what happens.
He only needs 4 laps of fuel to make it happen, and the time down the pit lane is at least 20 seconds, so he's got to be in the pit box for less than about 7 of those seconds to make this work. Does the question become, will he stay in front of Ryan Carwile? Carwile might inherit a second position even, as he's only 35 seconds back through 1, 2, 3. It's a really short fuel. He's already rolling.
Or JJ Stravato coming down through turn number 12. So Calusa leaving pit lane. This is going to be really dicey as they come out of pit lane. Calusa in turn number 1. There is AJ Stravato with 3 laps to go. He's going to have to protect what will probably be a 4 to 5 second race lead. This could be very, very tight.
Yeah, 6 seconds, and I don't think it's fresh tires for the 20, so he's got 3 laps to take. He's got to be 2 seconds a lap faster for the next 3 laps. That's qualifying pace for the 33 car. That's a long way to go. He's now got a glimpse, and he's probably got that 20 on his timing screen, his relative screen, up on his monitor to know he's got to make up about 2 seconds a lap.
It's actually 6 seconds the differential, so it might be closer to 4 by the end of this lap here, Tom, but this is going to be really, really interesting to watch.
I think we just saw a masterclass in strategy right there, to be honest.
We thought he was going to lose the race, and here he is leading it, and he's on the offensive now.
So he did a really good job to play out, can I just short fuel the car and make it to the end? As long as he nailed that short fuel, he is looking pretty good, and Stravato's a pretty lonely second place. Carwile's back another 4 seconds. Banks another 4 seconds from that. The whole field is spread out until we get back to Bell and Laughter in 6th and 7th.
Wow, 6 seconds feels like an eternity here. There is the race leader, Bryce Calusa, and there is AJ Stravato. The gap is 6 seconds even as they come through 10A and 10B. For Bryce Calusa, 2 laps to go, about 5 miles worth of racing, and Stravato's got a lot of work to do.
The gap is not shrinking significantly. I think this is the 20s to lose, as long as he made sure he got enough fuel in that car.
I did not expect anybody to play this strategy. This very rarely works. I haven't seen this ever work in a race that we've broadcast.
And it's even more impressive to have the surprise caution come out and still kind of on the fly do the audible, figure out the math in your head on that strategy call and figure out, do I have enough fuel? How long am I going to run the car? How late can I pit? You know, there's a lot of stuff going on with the adrenaline rush of being in the car yourself. You know, you are your own pit, pit strategist, crew chief, everything. When you're in the iRacing service, you have the tools to do it, but the 20 car looks a little nervous, to be honest. That was a big wiggle at the apex of turn 7. As long as he keeps it together, he's actually pulled the lead back out to 6.5 seconds.
He has found something. I mean, that lead has not shrunk at all in the last couple laps. And honestly, this is looking more and more like Bryce Calusa just outsmarted everybody. This is not even going to be close. 10A braking zone for the penultimate time. Trickiest part of the racetrack to get slowed down, especially in a stock car. Comes up the hill over turn number 11. In the hands of the starter should be the white flag. One more lap around at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta for Bryce Calusa in the number 20. And no wins this season. His best finish third twice at Road America and at Rockingham. So he's got the road background. But with the white flag out, he's got to make 2.54 miles. Wow. And he'll get it.
Look at the gap back a second.
Oh, trouble.
8.4 at the line. And this is that Laughter and Bell? I
It
was
is
watching
Laughter
their
and Bell.
gap. They were within 0.2 of a second back and forth. They finally make contact and have some incidents. And that's going to bring, look at this, the 31 of Bowers is almost back into this battle. He makes the run up the front straightaway. The door handle bang at the apex of turn 12. And now 31 has to tuck back in. Couldn't keep the inside there.
Trying to salvage a top 10. He's going to do that if he stays where he is. Bell really wide in turn number 1. Bowers charges up the hill into turn number 3. And this battle will be a fun one to watch all the way back to the checkers.
And now the 29 car, Ronas is in there too. He moved up to 9th, and he's in that championship hunt, so he wants that maybe 8th, maybe 7th, maybe can he even get 6th? He's only got 1 lap to go. He's a little bit far back, but this could be a pretty good championship run for the 29 car. But up at the front, Calusa still continuing to pull away from Stravato, 8.3 seconds this time.
Bryce Calusa is winless in 2020 as he comes up the hill out of 10B. The strategist, the mathematic, he has done it right here today in Brazelton, Georgia. Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, round number 8 goes to Bryce Calusa in the number 20. He wins for the first time this season. AJ Stravato, he tried to, but he couldn't get there. Second place for the number 33 as he comes down the hill. And Ryan Carwile, his first ever race in Outsider Racing League, third place for him.
Well done. I think he ran the quietest race of the entire field and kept it clean for what might be the cleanest also bodywork car. But look at this battle. This is Bowers and Hronis, and that what we thought might come together to be a quick battle actually fizzled a bit, and they're going to cross the line in that order. Laughter, Bell, Bowers, and Hronis cross the start-finish line.
And Jeff Wright will bring it home in 10th. That's a disappointing day, as it has been here on the road courses for a little while. Here's Hernandez and Casey Lakatos. A half a second between them. Lakatos, I think, had it off coming up, or he's out of fuel, actually. Yeah. And he only made 1 pit stop, so he managed to save the fuel, Tom. But he will coast to the start-finish line.
Being off strategy, he still comes home. Well, it's going to get a push from the 99. Look at that.
That's awesome.
Sam Devontier, having finished 5 laps down, had that disastrous finish, got a quick pull back to pit lane and pushes the 50 car across the line. 26 finishes. That car's been the worst today, the Halpern car.
And Burgess coming down the hill as well in the number 12, and Jeremy Miller, the last driver on the lead lap. But Bryce Calusa, for the first time this season, gets it done. Race winner from Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. We'll stick around for the post-race show here, and we'll talk to Calusa, Stravato, and Carwile, and have a little conversation about the strategy and why he went with that, because that was really risky. And he was the leader before. I didn't think he had to do something like that, but I think it actually sort of made it easier for him. I think he played that just right. He's going to back it into the fence, make sure that they can't put the templates on it later, and it can't be ruled illegal, and he's going to do a little burnout here on the front straightaway. He led today at 42 laps, led 31 of 42. That's dominance here, Tom.
Yeah, well done, especially with how many different shapes this race took. And
at
again,
least 3.
To stay cool like that and figure out your strategy, make a call, and execute. I like how he just stayed in the clear and ran it all the way to the very end, took the splash, and will bring home the win in the 20 car over Adrian Stravato, 8.8 seconds at the line finally. And then Ryan Carwile out of Michigan, 12 seconds back from the winner, and the 71 car brings home 3rd.
Joshua Banks brings it home in 4th place in the number 36. Then Clifton Cockrell, Ben Laughter, Alex Bell, Bowers, Ronas, and Wright. Bailey Turner 11th. We mentioned Hernandez, Lacatus, and Halpern with their battles they had today. Sam Devontier could have won this race, didn't, and I know he's from Australia, so he's on a totally different time zone. But good effort today, but got caught up in a collision on the back straightaway. David Mott Jr., Brian Chambliss, nothing to write home about. Disappointing day for them. Of course, Liam Sheen tried to run this race. He was excited for it, but his wheel broke his desk. So I think he'll have to try again the next time we do this. We'll be back in a few minutes with interviews. Stay put. Welcome back live to Sim TV. My name's Kyle Heyer alongside Tom O'Gorman. We're here with our third place finisher, Ryan Carwile, in the number 71. First race ever in the Outsider Racing League. Ryan, you brought it home for a podium. First of all, you got to be thrilled with that. But there was a lot of strategy and a lot going on in this race. Tell me how you tackled it and what you did to find yourself inside the top 5.
Yeah, unfortunately, without a crew chief, it's kind of winging it because it's hard to calculate all the numbers. But when I saw, I forgot the car in front of me. I think it was Joshua Banks. When he pulled off, I realized that, yeah, we weren't going to make it. So might as well take tires and try to gain time.
Well, I think the conditions were challenging today. Very slick racetrack, very slick surface. How was the tire wear, and how much did you have to manage the rear tires to keep the car underneath you for the entire race?
For me, it wasn't that hard. I guess on my driving style, I'm pretty easy on the gas coming out of the corners, especially in the Cup car, high horsepower package. But yeah, I did see a few other guys start to, they get sideways and then they just couldn't keep it under them until like a couple laps later.
Well, Ryan, it was a really good night for you inside the top 5. Any shout-outs to do before we go on to AJ?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Have a good night, Ryan.
Thank you too.
Moving on now to our second place finisher, AJ Stravato, the points leader coming into the night, with the points leader leaving the night. But a valiant effort to run down Bryce Galusa didn't quite end in the way that we thought it would. We thought you had it in the bag when Bryce looked like he was going to just have to give up to take tires and fuel at the end. But he didn't take tires. He just took fuel. And, AJ, he beat you, but you put in a valiant effort. Started 16th, finished second, and maintain and actually grow your points lead. Your thoughts on Road Atlanta tonight?
That was a lot of fun. That was definitely a hard track to pass, but I enjoy a challenge, especially at road courses. I'm trying my best to, kind of work on that, and I think it's showing. But it was interesting getting through the field right there. And, I mean, I think Sam and Bryce were definitely the cars to be. I think we were about a third, fourth place car. But, yeah, I saw him pit with about 3 or 4 laps to go, and I was just praying to the high heavens, like, please take tires because this will fall right into my hands. And Bryce was, I talked to him just a second ago. He was smarter than that. He just took fuel and just maintained his lead. I kind of wish I didn't get held up. Me and Banks made a little bit of contact. I wasn't happy with him at the time, but that definitely cost me a couple seconds. But all in all, a good effort. Gaining points on a points lead, that's awesome. Just can't keep up with Bryce, man. That dude's a road course king. So just, it is what it is.
Next week we head to Chicagoland, the Windy City. So we're going back. Actually, I'm going to be there this week. So Chicagoland next week, kind of a return to normal. Got another 1.5 mile racetrack, kind of low grip, high speed. Your thoughts on that place, and if you can bring home a victory there?
Yeah, we last time I think the Dasher Cash was there. We took home a win later in the season, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Chicago is one of my better 1.5-mile tracks, one of my top 3, I would say, along with Kentucky. So we'll see what we can do. Hopefully, we can bring home a win for our sponsors and for the Sad Boys. It's really cool to get a points lead on Jeff. I know he's really good at here, so we'll take it and we'll move forward to Chicago.
All right, AJ Stravato, second place tonight. AJ, thanks for talking. We'll see you later.
Thank you, man.
Sure thing. Moving on now to Bryce Calusa, who was the fastest lap driver of the race and also the race winner. Bryce, lots of strategy involved in this one, but you brought it home and won the race in a spectacular fashion. We weren't expecting it to go around that way when we were up here in the booth kind of scheming about it. How much of this was a pre-planned strategy, and how much of this was kind of reacting to the situation and where we were on the racetrack?
I didn't really have much strategy involved here. I know in practice, like a lot of us were really on pace with each other, so I knew it was going to be tough. Starting in 5th, there was a couple incidents in front of me which gave me a couple positions. After the pit stop, I got around Banks, and then after the pit stop, I just took off. I thought I was good on fuel, and then Ben notified me that people were pulling off, and I was like, oh man, what? I'm actually low on fuel, so I just took a splash at the end, no tires, and got out there. And AJ was 6 seconds behind me, so I was a little concerned. But I was able to hold him off.
Yeah, your first win this season, your previous best was a third at one of those thirds was at Road America. So you've got the road course thing figured out. But next week we head back to an oval. That will be at Chicagoland Speedway a week from today. Your thoughts on heading to Chicago and then Indianapolis after? That's 2 very different racetracks coming up in 2 weeks from now.
I've been on Chicagoland a few times. It's a decent track for me, so I think I can pull off a good finish. Indy, I've actually done very well at Indy in the official series, so we'll have to see what happens there. But looking forward to the rest of the season.
Congratulations, Bryce. A well-earned victory. 31 laps of 42 led the night. We'll see you next week. Thanks for talking.
Thank you.
All right, interview is complete. Well, that was a wild night, Tom. That was a fun race. That was first of all, my first time watching a stock car race here. That was a resounding success. And considering NASCAR owns this track in the real world, why are they not here?
I totally agree. That was a ton of fun to watch. These big old cars lumbering through the Georgia clay. And I'm kind of surprised Bryce Calusa sounded like he didn't really think much of what he pulled off.
It was pretty cool.
I mean, if we had done our research a little more, we might have known that it wasn't that big of a deal either. But we think it's pretty impressive. So congratulations to the 20-car Bryce Calusa taking the win here at Road Atlanta.
His first win of the season, maybe more to come. We'll head to the Windy City of Chicagoland a week from today. Thanks for watching Sim TV. My name is Kyle Heyer with Tom O'Gorman. We'll see you next time on Monday night, 3 wide action from the Charlotte Roval. We'll see you there.